$1 billion facility with half of it or so coming from the Vikings and about $350 million from the state, $150 million from the city, a true public-private partnership. We have the people who are really important to this public-private partnership today, and plus a very interesting trip on this amazing spaceship, an incredible voyage. Inside, it looks like an incredible stadium. Outside, it looks like nothing you've ever seen. And the guys who basically designed this facility from beginning to end are successful in a long line of facilities. Dallas, Indianapolis, now Minnesota, and then Los Angeles for the new Rams Stadium. John Hutchings, HKS Architects, one of the foremost architectural firms in the business. How are you?
I'm good, Ray.
Good. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
We've bamboozled John and Hutch into giving us a tour of this facility in a way that you probably will have never seen before. And then Kevin Warren, who is the COO of the Vikings, CEO, COO, works with the Wilf family, been here for a long time, corporate lawyer, deal maker, involved in the NFL from the Vikings perspective. And so this is a facility that everybody's going to understand as soon as end of August, beginning of September. We have people cleaning the building, getting ready to go. We have Facebook selfies. We have everybody doing it. Shout out to my daughter, the producer, Caroline Horrow, who has now, she's not getting any salary for this because she's getting a mention. Thank you very much for that. And the bottom line of this is we're having some fun. We're going to talk generally about the facility. We're going to take a tour of the building. We're going to talk about public-private partnerships in the NFL. And we're going to talk about stadium development best practices and the like. So, Hutch, let's start with this. You see behind us, Caroline, take a look at the skyline and what we've got here. This facility is basically an urban site. It's a transformative urban site, but when you did the original site selection with the Vikings, it wasn't always that way. You had a lot of suburban sites to choose from too, right?
It was, and we always recommended to the authority, the MSFA, and the Vikings that this was the best site because it's on a transit line. We predict that 1/3 of all of the 66,200 folks will come here via a sustainable the rail system called Met Transit here, which is great. So also it's an area of downtown that was underdeveloped, and Wells Fargo's come in and developed 1.5 million square feet. There's a big park over my shoulder called the Commons that's going to be a great place for congregation, not only for this part of downtown East, but of course for the foreground for the Super Bowl in 2018. And we have 3 acres in front of the stadium and another 3 acres on the other side of the street, Chicago Avenue. So we have a great forecourt for all kinds of pregame activities for Vikings fans and fans of all the other events that are going to happen here.
And by the way, the sounds that you hear are one of the reasons why parking is not going to be an issue here. It's not just because the downtown parking is available for Sundays, but it's also we've heard 3 trains go by in that short, pithy Hutch soundbite there.
You can go ahead and clean around.
And there's a lot more. Yeah, no, go ahead and clean, because the more you clean, the less we'll have to. Really appreciate that. That's really good. We're getting ready for this, by the way. Everybody understands top priority. So this is the kind of confluence point for transit in a downtown area. The Target Field and Target Center is, about a mile down the road?
Yeah,
basically.
The other end of downtown, basically.
Yeah, so what this is, you could see it as kind of a giant renewal project that links the basketball and baseball stadium to the football stadium with growth in between. So let's now shift to, Caroline, look, go up there, and it was called, so let's look at the roof.
Wait a minute, this isn't a roof, it's a wall that pretends it's a roof. We call this the prow, and it faces the downtown. You'll see it later from the inside, but it's kind of a unique space here on this deck. Once the cover comes off of the fire pit, the fans will enjoy the inclement weather that are used to it here in Minnesota.
And the most important thing from my chemical background is when you look at this thing originally, you see the ethylene tetrafluoroethylene roof, ETFE.
Well, when the lights,
okay?
You did. Yeah, okay. When the light's right, you can see the roof through the stadium blazing on this west face.
And it's everybody take note, and we want to start out here for a reason. Take note about how effectively dark and reflective this is from the outside. And you can really see you see the train right there. That's not a train. That's a reflection of the train, which is just really incredible. So let's go inside and take a look at the stadium itself, the bowl itself. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn more about ETFE and its chemical derivatives, don't ask me. Don't ask me.
Rick,
I have no idea.
I'm
barely a lawyer, let alone a scientist.
It has been around for 50 years. DuPont created it, so
So really, it's
been used in Europe and New Zealand. The Beijing water cube is made out of ETFE and actually has more than this one does. But this is the largest installation of the ETFE in North America, with over 200,000 square feet on the south side roof.
So it's a roof covering.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
And it's a light enhancing or light moderating thing.
Yes.
All right. So the Mystic Lake Club Purple, and talk about this thing for a minute.
Well, what we designed this space for in concert with our client, the MSFA and the Vikings, was to create a place for the millennials where we've got some banquette seating you'll see in a minute with a club, and then the outdoor deck behind you. The garage doors can come down so that when we're not air conditioning the bowl, you can still have an air conditioned event in here with great food product and great beverage and lively entertainment for fantasy football or whatever they want to do.
Just remember in the old 60s, early 60s, mid 60s, the pre-Fran Tarkenton days, and when the team played in Bloomington, they had some folding chairs, and they charged a couple bucks for it, and that was their PSL. Now, the architects get a hold of it, and it's banquettes, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go down to a banquette.
Let's go down to a banquette.
That's why they pay the architects the big bucks. We'll talk about HKS. I know how proud you are of being given the honor of doing this facility in a long line of Indy and Dallas and now LA. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
So this is incredible when you take a look at what this building looks like. Take a look at this. It's cloudy now, which is kind of too bad. Although when you pan over there, you can see some of the blue sky. You really feel outdoors in here. You really do. It's amazing.
Well, that's the whole thing we tried to do was we told our clients and the Vikings that we wanted to create an outdoor field indoor so that you had all the creature comforts of air conditioning, because there aren't that many games where you're going to have the perfect weather where we can open these big doors. We'll talk about it in a while, but when we do, it's going to be special.
Show them the banquettes.
This is a new seating product, the first time it's been done in the NFL, where we have a club back behind and have basically a living room. So,
do you want me to sit next to you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's the beauty of Facebook Live, is I get to nuzzle up to my buddy here. How's that? Is this good, ladies and gentlemen? How's that? Is this perfect? Oh, sorry. Okay, we good? We connected? Everything's still okay? So what happens seating wise? People buy a ticket in there and they sit. I mean, this is an incredible place. So you see us here. This feels like a club. Now, Caroline, turn and see how close it is. These are really good NFL seats. It's concert seats. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. But Luke Bryan is here. Metallica is here. AC Milan was here. The X Games are here. Final Four. Super Bowl 52. But the important thing to remember is you can sit here, have a drink, have something to eat, and these are among the best seats in the house in any stadium in the country. This is a great idea.
Yeah, we think this is going to be used in most of the other product that we hope to develop in the NFL. But this is, like I say, the first time we've done it, and it's fun. Everybody said they really like this space.
What are the economics of this? So you buy a ticket in there. Do you have assigned seating?
I think you buy an area, but I don't know whether they have more than one group that can be in the single banquette area or not. These are big enough where you could have 4 groups of 4 and still be comfortable.
And if you put on a lot of weight, you buy an area and a half?
Probably so, Rick.
Sorry. Talk a little bit about the bowl from your perspective here. This is a good spot to do it.
Okay. Well, the bowl's completely different on the north side than it is the south side. We had a requirement of our client to play collegiate baseball because it's too cold at the start of the season for the University of Minnesota to play outdoors, even though they've got a nice outdoor facility. So these rows on the north side are the largest retractable rows in the world. They retract 32 rows so that we make a field big enough to play collegiate baseball. The home plate's down about where that forklift is sitting.
Imagine that. Yeah. So
The right field line's at about 304. The power alley's still over 300 or 400. So everything works for collegiate baseball, and we put a net, of course, over on that side. But besides the 32 rows, all four areas from about the 25-yard line towards the end zone we call red zone, and the red zone seating is a little bit upgraded, nicer amenities in terms of concession stands. So that's the way we shape that portion of the lower bowl. On the south side, you can see the number of breaks we have. We have a really cool club that you'll see in a while with Kevin Warren of the Vikings and some new product down there with field suites. At the end, on the east side, we have the touchdown suites, which you can see where the group of people are on that side. And then we have the closest suites in the NFL at row 16, where we have the founding partners and the ownership group having some really nice views from there. And then about 12, 14 rows above that, we have main concourse suites on each side.
The interesting thing about this perspective, I've been in all the stadiums, is that the premium seats clearly have the benefit of premium access, and they cost more, as they should. That's an income source for the club.
Sure.
But the facility itself feels so intimate. Maybe it's because of the way the roof is designed. Also, you were mentioning earlier, there are no right angles in here, basically. Everything is unique.
The contractors didn't like us very much.
I'm sure they didn't, but, you're making your own statement. You're not appeasing contractors. You're making your own statement. And the bottom line is, those top seats up there, people will feel intimate and not distracted. You have the scoreboards on either side, in some part because you didn't want the scoreboard in the middle too. You wanted it.
The Vikings didn't necessarily want a large shadow cast on the field of play, so we had several discussions both with the Vikings and the MSFA, and they arrived at end zone locations for the two scoreboards, and the one over my shoulder is quite large.
Speaking of that, quite large. What's that big tooth? What is that thing? Is that wait? That's a Gallarhorn.
That's a Gallarhorn.
Darn. All right, let's go see a Gallarhorn, okay? And I understand from my Scrabble games at home, it's spelled G-J, J-G, G-J.
G-J.
Horn. G-J or horn.
That's the Nordic influence.
Yeah, got it. Well, I guarantee you, different strokes for different folks and for different stadiums. You have your architecture here. We're going to see some art later on, which will be an interesting piece dramatically. Will surprise the audience. But if you want a Gallarhorn, you do it here. This is the world's home for a Gallarhorn.
So I think they're plan on doing this potentially for touchdowns and big events, for Vikings events. So they've paid to have a special platform installed so that we could do that, and it's actually got a great view of the field of play.
Now, for all of you NFL fans who remember that sound when the Vikings score or third down, just put yourself right here, because that's going to be it. You're going to have 66,248 very inebriated fans within earshot of this.
Well, hopefully all of them aren't inebriated.
No, some will be. Right.
Well, let's go up and take a look at the West Plaza and the largest hinged doors in the world. You want to do that?
The largest hinged doors in the world. So you get a sense, folks, of how close this building is to downtown, and not only that, how the skyline will showcase, or the skyline showcased downtown, unlike
its predecessor.
Unlike its predecessor, but unlike Dallas, Indy a little bit, unlike L.A., this is really an urban setting that you were able to fit the stadium into downtown.
It was a great site with a lot of potential. We ended up getting rid of a street and kept one lane so that we could service the building.
Good job. Wow. Good job.
You didn't fall.
Very
That was
good. By the way, she just dismounted an escalator, ladies and gentlemen. Well done.
So this door is 55 foot wide and 95 foot tall. The area you see that is a triangular shaped truss is the support of the door because they're quite massive. But on a great day when it's 65 degrees outside, they can choose to open these doors, and I think they're using the same strategy that they do for retractable roofs, that the team has to make a decision about 90 minutes before the start of game time whether to open the doors up.
That is interesting. Is that so the rules?
That's
the NFL
kind of the
rules apply.
NFL rule for retractables they have stated will apply for these hinge doors.
Interesting. And from a competitive perspective, there are very specific rules about what retractable roof control is taken by the team versus the league at a certain time.
Yes.
So that applies here.
Yes.
Interesting. The world's largest hinged doors. So I'm here.
This views down to the balcony deck that when we were outside, so you can see it now is not reflective but transparent, so you can enjoy the mill district of the city and the downtown east area.
And look how massive the structure is.
Well, we didn't do like we did the last two NFL stadiums. We only have a single super frame truss. Yeah. So when we get in the bowl again, you can kind of see the fact that singular asymmetrically placed truss dominates, and it allowed us to get a bigger roof on the south side where we have the ETFE.
That's one explanation. The other explanation is it's huge.
We're going to have to, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel better that. Are you okay, producer? You all right? I don't want you falling. There are a lot of reasons why we don't want you falling. Amazing.
So outside, we have a 3-acre plaza as a forecourt facing downtown, and on the other side of Chicago, the street that bisects it, we've got another 3.5 acres. They're just now assembling a massive tent over in the corner way back there that the Vikings will use for pregame throughout the entire season.
Got it. It'll be an evolving list of best practices. I mean, you guys know what it takes to build a building like this from Dallas to Indy here and then LA, but it's a constant evolution and application of what works, what doesn't work. No pride of authorship, but you kind of evolve it. I'm sure there will be a lot of checklist meetings every week, every month to make sure that things change and things are that things are first rate, but keep moving forward.
Yes.
So obviously, let's talk HKS for a minute too, as we're talking. Are you industry leader, and it's a very competitive market. There are a lot of companies that do stadiums and arenas broadly defined, but between Dallas, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Jerry Jones's Palace, and which way should we go?
This one.
And Indianapolis, Lucas Oil, where you had the Super Bowl there in 2012, and this building destined for the Super Bowl in 17, and now you've got the deal.
In 18.
18, sorry. And now you got the deal to do the Rams building too.
Yes. Yes.
So it's how do you constantly and creatively evolve in order to stay on top?
Well, each we learn the things that we did right from each one and try to apply that. We were the first to introduce field level suites at Cowboys AT&T Stadium, and that was chosen by the Vikings to do on the one side. Of course, since the other side retracts for baseball, we couldn't put suites over there. But a lot of the lessons learned from these other NFL stadia, we packed into this one in for what I think is one of the finest stadiums in the NFL right now, because it's got all the best bells and whistles. It doesn't have quite the size of Cowboys, but it certainly has all the amenities.
Well, and you as an entity and an organization, you continue to innovate, and you continue to create, and I assume you could say you're never satisfied, but
no, we're not. But
it's really technology, and it's how you stay the best, not just become the best.
True. we like pushing the boundaries as far as we can with each one, and we like them to be different. There's the big truss I was talking about. You can see it quite clearly there as a singular truss. The first time in the NFL that it's been done with just one big truss, affording us the ability to let light pour in from the south side.
And be a lot more creative structurally, too.
Yes.
And by the way, Hutch has evolved from a architectural pup with a full head of hair to what you see here today.
That was a long time ago.
Evolution.
I started out in baseball with Miller Park.
Was that your first building?
Yes.
Well, that's an interesting
And
building, too.
Then I followed with American Airlines Center for the Mavericks and the Stars before I was involved with Lucas Oil. And we did Lucas Oil at the same time we were doing AT&T Stadium for the Cowboys.
That could explain some of that stuff that people... The one thing people say about Lucas Oil more than anything else is it has more arena functions than any stadium you've seen. Like the NCAA is happy with it, right? Because
they were one of the clients,
and they designed it as a floor. It's basically a big basketball arena as well.
Yeah.
So,
they had been playing in in-court basketball, seating about 45,000 people, and we suggested that by putting the basketball court in the middle and tapering the lower bowl to meet basketball sight lines, that you could create a capacity of 70 to 72,000, which the economics just sounded good, and it's proven out after we've done it in 7 other facilities throughout the country that, and now people come to expect that. I don't know that the media likes the fact that we raised the floor up 29 inches to improve the sight line, so it's at tabletop, and you have occasionally basketball players jumping over the media table, but not very often.
Not very often.
We widened the court. We widened the court and recommended that we do that to the NCAA.
Well, and it's a series of trade-offs, but at least you can raise these issues. Here. We've seen this one before. Go ahead. Talk about the art.
Well, they have a lot of local artists throughout the state. This one was Greg Gussel, and one of my favorites, pop art, called The Vikings Are Coming, which is appropriate. I got a picture of Rick earlier today with the big skull sign down there.
Big skull, and the picture, too. So that's cool.
And we got another piece of artwork in here that's kind of special for the residents of Minnesota.
And here's our surprise, ladies and gentlemen, which... So, was this done, Prince tribute, Purple Rain? Do we know if this was done before he passed?
Yes, I'm sure it was, because they've been working for months assembling all of the artwork. I don't know if it had this location placed, but it's a great location off the South Concourse as you enter the premium areas.
And he was a Viking fan.
Oh, yes.
Please don't get hurt. I'm not sure we can deal with the liability issues here. Please don't get hurt. Okay, good.
So you come down into some of the areas getting to the suites, and we're now headed down to the Delta 360 Club, which is the field level club, where we'll tie up with Kevin Warren. But it's fun. We got around the corner now.
It goes without saying that you and the firm must be incredibly and uniquely proud of this building.
It's more than we expected. It's like a child that you've raised to see it come to fruition and to hear people enjoying it that much. I went to a game in the old Metrodome. The concourses were so tight, I got trapped, and I was afraid that I wasn't going to get out safely. And you don't want that kind of experience for families, for people coming to an NFL facility or any other game. And we think we've solved that. We gotta tweak some things just in terms of tinsel barriers around concession stands, so we keep the concourses open. But all of that comes from a game or two, and we've only had one soccer game under our belt, and it went off pretty well. So we're going to head down now these long escalators to the field level club, the Delta 360 Club.
We got one more successful escalator to navigate, and I think we've done it. How many escalators in the building?
24 to 26, I'm not sure, but we didn't under-escalator it. We made the mistake of saving some money on one of the other NFL facilities,
Right.
and they told me that was the biggest mistake we made, so I told the client and the Vikings, whatever you do, don't under-escalate, and we didn't.
And it's a good example of one of the many trade-offs that you would normally have, where you learn something, and there may be you save $1, but you alienate people in the process. And
Exactly. Exactly. We are not under-elevated or under-escalated in this building, and it's a good thing. So the people of Minnesota will appreciate getting to their spaces.
But people in Minnesota are basically physically fit, so I'm sure they could have handled whatever.
So this is the 360 Club, Delta 360 Club, with access behind the players. You also have the vomitories that you see that go up to seats in the lower bowl. So you have a lower bowl seat and you have a club below. And we think it's the nicest club now in the NFL on the field level.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Good to be here. Nice, thank you.
Awesome.